So last week, big news in Wisconsin politics hit the wire.
A revelation from a now closed secret probe. Governor Walker was the target of a criminal investigation.
But that entire allegation is based on a single accusation by an investigator seeking a search warrant. After the search warrant was granted and the search conducted, no charges of any kind were filed against Walker. Of course, this hasn't kept Democrats from issuing press releases trying to cram the words Scott Walker and criminal investigation into as many large font headlines as possible. But this type of misleading attack has become routine in Wisconsin. Let's take a trip into the Wayback Machine and visit June of last year.
Wisconsin Republican Governor Scott Walker is believed by Wisconsin prosecutors to have been at the center of a, quote, criminal scheme to violate election laws.
Prosecutors are accusing Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker of being the center of a criminal scheme.
Directly accusing Governor Scott Walker of being part of a criminal scheme.
Prosecutors say their case centers around what they call a, quote, criminal scheme involving Governor Scott Walker.
Wait, how is Scott Walker not in jail? Oh, because of this.
Special prosecutor emphatically stated today that Governor Walker is not the target of a John Doe investigation into the recall election.
But the special prosecutor's lawyer issued a statement Thursday saying, quote, these documents outline the prosecutor's legal theory. They do not establish the existence of a crime.
That's right. Even before the initial reports hit the airwaves, the case against Walker had already been rejected by 2 judges. But that didn't keep the New York Times from vowing to expose Walker's quote-unquote campaign violations. And it didn't keep people from accusing Walker of being guilty simply for setting up a legal defense fund, even though state law clearly allows non-targets to set up those types of funds. Granted, if the Democrats' innocent until investigated standard were to become law, we could all save a lot of money on all those pesky trials where evidence is presented. Instead of courtrooms, prosecutors could just swing through the drive-thru at Legal Hut, where you're in and out in minutes. You know, I just wish there were some high-profile case that would expose the Democrats' hypocrisy for trying to paint someone as guilty for just being investigated.
Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton and her emails as Secretary of State back in the news. NBC's Andrea Mitchell has more on that new FBI investigation. Andrea, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. There is more fallout today about Hillary Clinton's private email server. A government official confirms the FBI is looking into how the system at Clinton's Chappaqua home was set up. As first reported by the Washington Post, the private system was first set up by a political staffer during Clinton's first run for the White House.
Yes, Hillary Clinton is now being investigated by the FBI for potentially using her personal email server to send and receive classified national security information during her time as Secretary of State, then failing to turn that information over to the government when she left office. Clinton's supporters say that the investigation is only into the security of her server, but sources within the FBI say, quote, it's definitely a criminal probe. I'm not sure why they're not calling it a criminal probe. I'm just guessing that typically when you're having trouble with your wireless internet, you don't call FBI Director James B. Comey. Of course, much of the criticism of Walker stems from the fact that he said he didn't know he was the target of any investigation. And if you believe the prosecutor's words, he wasn't. But if we're having an honesty contest, I'll just let MSNBC take it away.
Back in March, Clinton was adamant that no classified information was ever trafficked on her private account.
I did not email any classified material to anyone on my email. There is no classified material.
But now the Clinton campaign is admitting that the situation is much more complicated. On Friday, they said any released emails deemed classified by the administration had been done so after the fact and not at the time they were transmitted. But even after the corrections, the New York Times stated flatly that the Clinton claim was not true. Hillary Clinton now claims the documents weren't classified, quote, at the time. But again, the Inspectors General says they were, even if they weren't marked classified.
Ultimately, digging up a baseless allegation against Scott Walker from a half-decade ago won't really affect his campaign. And we have yet to see how far the more serious accusations against Hillary Clinton lead. But for those who want to use investigations to ruin the reputation of others, we should always ask,
have you no sense of decency, sir?